What is going on, everybody? It's Matt Marchese, also known as Islanders Daily. Your daily news from the four-time Stanley Cup champions, New York Islanders. And on today's episode, we have some conversations that we're going to be talking about, and we're going to dive into a little bit of the comments because it turns out that something I thought was very heavily disagreed upon in the comments, and we'll get into that, and we'll have a little back and forth and everything and talk about that. But first things first. A funny story comes out today that when Barzal arrived in Washington in his locker room, he found an alarm clock. So the Capitals played a prank on him. I'm assuming you guys can know who played that prank. It was Anthony Beauvillier, who put an alarm clock in Barzal's locker. And yeah, just a funny story right there. Those guys obviously were very close when they were on the Islanders. They have stayed very close friends since Beauvillier has departed the Islanders. And it's funny to see Beauvillier poking a little fun at Barzal, putting that alarm clock in the locker after, he got benched for disciplinary reasons for missing the team bus because he overslept. So just a funny little thing that occurred from the Islanders and Capitals, and I'm sure both of those guys had a good laugh about it afterwards. And yeah, I mean, going back to that Instagram video that released, Barzal said he was in disbelief that D'Angelo sets two alarms. Hopefully Barzal started setting three alarms because you don't want that happen again. And it's just a fun prank right there by Beauvillier. No harm, no foul. And yeah, like I said, those guys obviously very close relationship. They were best friends on the team. They probably remained very close friends off the team. And Barzal actually did say something about it because he was talking about the whole alarm clock and everything situation. And he said that he's just so happy Beauvillier is not some player who just gets dealt at the deadline anymore because obviously after we traded Beauvillier to the Canucks, he started getting traded a lot. He would be bouncing around from team to team. And yeah, he's found a home on the Washington Capitals. And yeah, Barzal was happy for him. I'm sure Beauvillier is happy for Barzal. And yeah, those guys continue to just have a good friendship and playing a little jokes on each other that got released. And just a funny thing overall to see. And now we're going to be going into goalies here. And for the goalies, Patrick Waugh has announced that David Riddick will face the Minnesota Wild on Friday. So it's going to be Riddick's net against the Wild on Friday, and then Ilya Sorokin will get the Rangers on Saturday. Now, I'm a little nervous about this, if I'm being honest. Honestly, it's back-to-back games, so I do think both goalies, need to play. Yeah, I mean, obviously, both goalies should play. I do think I would have gone with Sorokin against the Wild because I don't think Sorokin has great numbers against the Rangers. Obviously, the Rangers sometimes seem to have his number. I mean, my brain just goes back to that Stadium Series game that the Islanders lost against the Rangers. Putrid loss, probably one of the most frustrating nights I've had as an Islander fan, minus, the actual important losses. I mean, every game's important, but that loss was like, what the hell, man? How'd they manage to lose that? And obviously, the Rangers don't have a win at home yet this season, and their next home game will be against the Islanders, so of course that happens. Hopefully the Islanders kind of break that, thing they have going for them where other teams get on the board against the Islanders. It just feels like the Islanders, I mean, they had Ovechkin breaking the goal record against them. It just feels like that stuff always happens. And obviously, goal record in a team who hasn't won at home is a big difference so far this season. But yeah, the Rangers, I think, have been shut out 4 times at home this year. So hopefully the Islanders are able to keep it going and beat the Rangers at home, but the Rangers are home. And hopefully the Islanders are able to go to Madison Square Garden and beat the Rangers because, like I said, Rangers haven't won. You don't want to be that first team to give them that home win because, of course, you look on Instagram, Twitter, or anything like that, people are starting to, rag on the rags a little about not winning at home. And like I said, of course, the Islanders have the first game against the Rangers back when they're home. And obviously, both teams are coming off back-to-backs. The Islanders play the Wild on Friday. The Rangers play the Red Wings on Saturday. So it should be, both teams are going to be tired, and it's going to be a tough game. It's not easy, of course not. I mean, divisional opponents, always Rangers, Islanders. It's always going to be an exciting, tough game. And hopefully the Islanders can go into Madison Square Garden and keep the Rangers' winless streak at 0. Or, hopefully we don't allow them to get that first win at home. And then, of course, we play the Wild on Friday. And the Wild have been not that great this year, which is kind of odd to say. because the Wild obviously do have a very talented team, in my opinion, and they should be better than they are. They're 5-6-3 on the year right now. The Islanders 6-5-2. Obviously, we're home that game against the Wild, and yeah, it's going to be tough. No game against the Minnesota Wild is going to be easy, but the Wild are just the type of team who just always seems to they're good at times, but just can never get over that hump. And actually, I don't mind the Minnesota Wild. They're probably one of my favorite Western Conference teams. And it's weird. They just kind of feel like the Islanders of the West, the Minnesota Wild. I don't know why, but that's just kind of the feeling I get from the Minnesota Wild. It's just a weird thing. But yeah, hopefully the Islanders can beat the Wild. Obviously, they put a lot of cap onto Kirill Kaprizov during, this offseason. He's going to be making the big bucks, Kaprizov. So could maybe handicap the Wild's cap situation going forward. But the Islanders have a job to do. The Islanders have a very important job to do, and that's to beat Minnesota, that's to beat Rangers, and keep winning. Obviously, a lot of people probably thought this wasn't going to be a great year for the Islanders, and I still don't know what this year is going to be for the Islanders. Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? Like I said, they're just a team in the middle, and you never know. They're kind of on a seesaw. Which way are they going to teeter a little? We'll have to wait and see, but those are two exciting games we have coming up on Friday and Saturday against the Wild and Rangers, and then, of course, we talked about it. After that Wild game, it's a little bit of a long road trip for the Islanders. 7 straight games on the road then, and you're going out west. Obviously, you play the Rangers and then the Devils, the metropolitan area teams. Then after that, you play Vegas, Utah, Colorado, Dallas, and then you come back and play Detroit, and then you're home again against St. Louis. So there is going to be some time off a little there, time away from home. And the Islanders, they're going to have to go on the road and win those games. Obviously, Vegas has been playing great this season. Utah has been playing great this season. Colorado's been playing great this season. Dallas has been, these are strong schedules. New Jersey, Vegas, Utah, Colorado, Dallas, Detroit. That's a gauntlet. That's a gauntlet you're playing early on, and I think that's going to say a lot about the Islanders, how you are able to play when you go on this extended road trip against these good teams. And it's going to be exciting to watch. I think we all should keep a close eye because this, I think, will really dictate on how the Islanders' season will go. And then next up, we have Patrick Waugh talking about flexibility because how much flexibility Barzal gives him. That he can play center and both wing positions. And Patrick Waugh had this to say, well, right now the flexibility is that Ritchie's playing on the second line. And yeah, obviously Barzal being able to play the wing and center allows for someone like Callum Ritchie to come in and make a moment for himself, prove that he deserves to be in the NHL. And yeah, I said it early on in the year that I wanted Barzal at wing with Horvat. I think those two just work together. Obviously, that's not how the season started out, but it seems to be transitioning into that for the rest of the season. And I think that's way better than what the Islanders were doing. I think Horvat and Barzal are your two best players on the team, and they give you opportunities to score anytime they touch the puck, so they should be on a line together to produce the most offensive possibility they can get. And Bo Horvat's just been playing great all year. Obviously, having someone like Matt Barzal now back on your line just makes the scoring opportunities go even higher for Bo Horvat. And then if you add Schaefer into the mix as the defenseman when those three are out there, that's a scary line. That is a scary times. And having those guys obviously works out great for the New York Islanders. And like I said, Barzal and Horvat, the chemistry's there. Obviously, I think that Waugh wanted to try something else out at the beginning of the year. Obviously, he's transitioning back to having Horvat with Barzal. And like I said, I think that's the right move, the right call. I was asking for that before the season even started. And finally, we get to see it happening. And now we're going to go into the comments. And a lot of people disagreed. A lot of people did want an enforcer on the team, minus, one person here. And they said that one person said, I agree, no need for an enforcer. Waugh thought of this when he put Scott Mayfield on his defensive pairing, and that's what I was saying. Obviously, having someone like Scott Mayfield, he's a big guy who's not afraid to get in a fight. Obviously, he got his ass kicked once this season, but he's not afraid to fight. And then we had other people saying, bring on Kayshawn Aitchison. And I do think Kayshawn Aitchison is a good body to have. I don't know how much of enforcing Kayshawn Aitchison. Obviously, when he's he's fighting other 17, 18, 19-year-old kids. It's a big difference when you're an 18-year-old, 19-year-old going to fight a 30-year-old. It's scary. I mean, it's definitely not the same thing. But Kayshawn Aitchison is a big hitter. He's a big hitter. He's a scary guy if you have your head down. But I don't know, like, bringing him up, I don't think that's going to be much to do for enforcing the team, because look at the Rangers, actually. Let's look at them. I do think the enforcer is a dying role in the NHL. I feel like the only true good ones are the ones who had it. I mean, you got Matt Martin, Ryan Reeves, Tom Wilson. You know, you got those guys who are true. I mean, and even Tom Wilson's not a true enforcer, in my opinion. If you want to look at a true enforcer, it's Ryan Reeves. The only purpose he plays on the team is to beat the crap out of other people. But I do think it's a dying role for, in hockey. I mean, look at the Rangers. They brought up somebody who they thought could be an enforcer, and Matt Rempe, and that guy gets his ass kicked every single fight. So I do think, like, of course, there's people strong in the NHL. I shouldn't say it's a dying position or a dying role, but I do think to be an enforcer in this NHL day and age, you at least need to have some skill as well, unless you're Ryan Reeves. And that kind of poses the next thing, where people are saying that you need an enforcer for the Islanders to protect the generational superstar Matthew Schaefer. And I do understand that. I do understand that you want someone there to protect Matthew Schaefer. But at this point in time, where are you going to get an enforcer? Because the teams who are employed on the teams who employ enforcers obviously want them on their roster. And I don't see a world where I would want to give up any draft pick for one of those guys unless it becomes an absolute necessity where you need one. I don't think it is an absolute necessity right now, because obviously the first thing, I mean, Schaefer's gotten hit sometimes, but nothing too bad. The first true, dick move was by Zadorov punching him in the face. That's the first true moment we had somebody doing something dirty to Matthew Schaefer. Obviously the Islanders responded, but people are right. It is a discussion to have, and that's why I'm excited or happy that everybody left their opinions, their comments on it, because we get to have this discussion now. And I do think it's important to have someone who can fight. I do think that is the case. And like I said, though, I think you need to be skilled as well to fight. I just don't see a reason to employ an enforcer whose only purpose is to fighting, unless I said it becomes an absolute necessity. And I had people being worried, like, what happens if Anders Lee breaks his hand or Scott Mayfield? I mean, those are the risks you take with anything. Really, I mean, these players fight all the time, and you can get injured through any moment of a game in hockey. Freak accident, fighting, it doesn't matter. And I think Anders Lee, Scott Mayfield, they know what their role is. Anders Lee's the captain of the team. He's going to stand up for the guys, and we'll just have to wait and see. Obviously, I don't think Matthew Darche has any intention to get an enforcer. I think he trusts that these guys, Lee and Mayfield, can, stand their ground and fight. And they can. Those guys can definitely fight. I mean, you're not going to get a fight night situation like actually, knock on wood, who knows? Hopefully we don't get a fight night like that. I mean, even though it was the most entertaining game that I watched, I mean, that's like one of the first games I truly remember having with, having consciousness. But we don't want to get into that situation, even though they're fun, because I don't think the Islanders have the people to fight anymore on the team. Like, you look, I mean, I think there's a couple guys who can really fight. I mean, I think Tony DeAngelo could throw it down if it comes to it. Romanov can throw it down if it comes to it. Heineman can throw it down. So there are players on the Islanders who definitely can fight. They just haven't really had that opportunity. And we haven't had a true fight yet. I mean, minus the Scott Mayfield getting his ass handed to him fight. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Obviously, I like that we got this discussion going, talking about the enforcers and everything. And yeah, it's definitely interesting. And then we have another comment. Somebody says, you obviously never were involved in a physical altercation or played a physical sport. This is real life, not a video game. Just hand over your lunch money to the next guy walking by. Don't really know what that's about. I don't know if that's because I said the Islanders don't need an enforcer, or if that's because I said there's no reason for people to just start sending hate to Nikita Zadorov for no reason. I don't know. Obviously, you fight, you throw down, and it's over with. I'm sure Matthew Schaefer's not thinking about Zadorov punching him in the face no more. I'm sure the Zadorov's not thinking about it anymore. So, yeah, I mean, I don't get the fans going running, shit talking, unless the dude did truly something illegal, which didn't. He punched the kid in the face, nearly punched an underage kid in the face. But, scrap ensued and everything happened. He didn't involve the fans. No reason for the fans to start sending messages, getting in hate. If it involved you, maybe he can throw it down with Nikita Zadorov one day. But, it didn't involve any fans, so no reason to throw it down with Zadorov. But obviously, well, this was a funny comment that I just want to make a joke about and respond. So I don't know. But obviously, we'll go back to this, thing. And this person said, let's stop calling them enforcers or goons, and we're not talking about it. And then I'm calling them an enforcer because that's what the fans have been kind of asking for, somebody who can fight. Like I said, I think that role is kind of dying out in the modern day NHL. You need somebody who has skill. If, you don't want to just employ somebody who can fight. You want to employ somebody who can put pucks in the back of the net, and then if you need them to fight. And like I said, there's not a true enforcer around in the NHL who I think is worthy for the Islanders to risk giving a pick on for just to defend Schaefer. I just don't think it. I mean, I guess I am in the minority with how the comments are looking, and I'd love to hear more comments because this is great. It gets discussions rolling for these videos, and it's fun to talk about. I love interacting with my community, whether it's agreeing or disagreeing. That's part of life, and it makes it fun. I love to hear other people's point of views, and in fact, one of my favorite comments was a different point of view, where they said the analogy is almost like the one. What was it? Where the analogy was that you're speeding on the road and everything, and then your cop car comes by and you slow down because that they'll give you a ticket or something. I love that analogy. That's a great analogy. And obviously, you're right. The Islanders don't have a player who strikes fear in you that if you hit somebody, they're going to beat the crap out of you. But that I can also say that's the case for a lot of NHL teams. I don't think there's many players in the NHL anymore who strike fear into you that you don't want to go under after someone, minus Ryan Reeves. I think Reeves is probably the only guy still in the league who you'd be like, shit, I don't want to fight that guy. I mean, that's who Matt Martin used to be. You didn't want to fight Matt Martin. Obviously, he's gone now, and I like the comment somebody else said. I was thinking the same thing too. Matt Martin and Matthew Schaefer might have to throw it down in the playroom in Martin's house to get going, get Schaefer some experience punching and going in. No better teacher than Matt Martin. But yeah, so obviously that's all I have to say. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and we can have more discussions like this. It's a great time discussing like this, and I really want to hear what you guys think about the goalie situation going forward. Who do you think? Do you agree with the move to put Sorokin against the Rangers, or would you rather him play the Wild? So yeah, just, everything happens for a reason. And yeah, that's about all. So be sure to leave your comments down below, and we'll keep this, fun community going. And yeah, as always, I hope you enjoyed, and let's go Islanders.